My name is Joseph Purugganan. I come from the Philippines. The Philippines is a small archipelago where 100 million people are squeezed living together. It's one of the most vulnerable countries to climate change. In 2012, I don't know if you have seen the coverage, super typhoon devastated my country, killing over 6,000 people. The typhoon is called Yolanda, or Haiyan, international name, and it was a wake-up call really that the devastating impacts of climate change is not something that will happen in 2030 or beyond. These are things that are already happening now. I assert that this pursuit of an economic model, a corporate-driven economic model, will result to three things that will further weaken or will increase the vulnerability of the Philippines and at the same time limit its capacity to address climate change. The first impact is the increasing inequality and increasing wealth concentration. In the Asia-Pacific region, the elite represent 0.01% of the population. So for us, it's the 99.9% against the 0.01% who control and influence the the development in our country. The second impact is really to exacerbate the environmental degradation and the climate crisis. As the countries continue to pursue this high growth strategy, we are seeing an increase in global emissions. It is expected that by 2030, emissions coming from the Asia-Pacific region would represent around 45% of global emissions. And the impact of this growth strategy on the environment is already evident. In Southeast Asia alone, my region, we've lost the equivalent of the size of Vietnam in terms of forest cover. The third impact, and this is, I think, one of the most serious impacts, is the effect of this pursuit of economic growth on people's rights and human rights. We have in the Philippines now a situation where 3,000 indigenous peoples are living in evacuation centers. Some have called these indigenous peoples now investment refugees. People who are not fleeing their communities because of war, they are fleeing their communities because of the investment projects that are being pursued in their communities. So my assertion here is that there's this dangerous contradiction. Naomi spoke about trade trumps climate. The reality in my country and in the region is that trade, sadly, trumps the very survival of the people. And our assertion is that this contradiction should stop. Ultimately, and I see a poster here in Filipino, Justisyang Pangklima, which means climate justice. And for us, this is not an empty slogan. For us, this is a rallying cry of communities who are fighting for survival. Thank you.